Well, good evening. We're going to get going. We might have some people coming in here over the next few minutes, but welcome. I'm Dr. Tim Schemp. I'm the superintendent for Yorkville School District. I thank all of you for coming out on a little bit of a gloomy spring evening, but I think what a very exciting time for our schools. We certainly appreciate your participation, and we hope that the time will be worthwhile for you, and certainly it will be for us as we engage in some conversation. You know, the music was very, very chill and tranquil, much like a kindergarten classroom. But we're glad you're here, whether it's your first child that you're going to be sending off to kindergarten in the fall in August, or I see some of you have some older children or those at home. Regardless, it's a very exciting time. Certainly probably a time filled with questions about, especially as we move to a full-day kindergarten program in Yorkville. Maybe a little anxiety, maybe the start of some tears. I just brought a freshman, my youngest of 4, home from college. We still have the tears as they go off on their ways, but certainly now we add a full day to the mix. So you might have a lot of questions. There's some cards in the back too if you haven't received one. Brent, our communications person, will be walking around. If you want a card with some pencils to take some notes, to take some questions that we'll have some time in a little bit to go through. The Board of Education, our faculty and staff, all of our personnel, our administrators, were really thrilled to be in a position to be able to support a full-day program in Yorkville. This has been a goal of our community and our board. I've been in the community for 20 years. I've been in the district for 15, and it's been a conversation and a topic that's been happening since then. And I know it was long before I arrived. So, you know, we're looking at an inaugural class of, I guess the graduation will be in 2035. Yes, I'm feeling really old. So I probably won't be able to see them cross, but it is an exciting time for our community and for all of you as parents. We have a variety of representatives that you'll have an opportunity to meet from the district, from administrators to teachers, gen ed teachers, kindergarten teachers, fine arts and music people, really anyone you can think of to answer your questions. We have principals here, we have people from the district office. So there's not going to be a question that we won't be able to answer, at least give a shot to. If not, we're certainly going to have questions that we're going to be able to go back and find answers to. So part of the dialogue is certainly to gather information that maybe we haven't addressed yet, or things that are in your mind that we haven't shared yet that we will certainly do. There is an FAQ that we have, I believe, already posted that we're continuously updating. So after tonight, give us towards the next day or two, we'll have that updated again, and we'll post that and make sure that we communicate that out to our kindergarten families. And although we have a lot of the answers, or the questions answered, there are still things we're working on. So please, we just ask for your patience as we work through this. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Leslie Cressen. She is our Pre-K 6 Teaching and Learning Coordinator, and she's going to go over a brief overview of our full day programming. It's going to be a little bit more details if you were on our last Facebook Live session, more about some of the same timelines, but also then about what the daily schedule looks like, maybe what a full day versus a half day looks like. And then from there, we're going to really turn it over to open it up to all of you for some Q&A and things that are on your mind. So, Leslie?
Hi, welcome. So I am Dr. Leslie Cressen, and really excited, as Dr. Schemp said, to be here tonight to talk about full-day kindergarten. So most of you, I'm sure, are aware that up till now we've only offered a half-day program. So we were really excited when Dr. Schemp came to us in late March saying that the possibility of full-day kindergarten was on the table, and we were excited. So we put together a committee and had our first committee April 1st. And as you see the timeline there, we worked through, we had similar to the group that you'll see here tonight, we had a lot of teachers working with us, gen ed, special ed, specialists, building administrators, district leadership, all working hard. We did some site visits to some surrounding districts. We've dug into some of the research on best practices, went back and forth with our leadership teams, our cabinet level meetings, and finally ended April 20th with a finalized FDK proposal that was board approved on April 25th. So we're ecstatic to bring to you our final programming. So as I said, all of this was taken into consideration when creating this program. So next year we're going to continue to analyze our programming and looking to continue to improve it, but we're really excited about what we have to offer this year, so this next year's school year. So you'll see these are our current minutes we're operating under for our half-day programming. And the next column over is what we're moving forward with for next year. So our Ela Core, where we take an integrated approach, so we teach ELA and science and social studies are integrated. That's something that we've always done. That's best practice, and we're going to continue that practice. We have our math block is moving up from 35 minutes to 85 minutes. Our teachers are absolutely ecstatic about that extended time to dive in deeper with their students in their math learning. We have exploratory play for an extended time now that we didn't have time for previously. And you'll see recess, and the kids get to eat lunch at school now, so very exciting. And it's really exciting too for our specials teachers. So we have our PE teachers now. We'll get to see our kindergarten students every single day instead of on a 4-day rotation. Similarly, our art, music, and ILT teachers will get to see their kindergarten students on a more often basis as well because of how we've developed that plan. They'll see them every other day instead of every 4 days as well, which will really help with building those relationships, building those procedures at the kindergarten level. And then RTI is response to intervention time. So we have 20 minutes, that's now going to be embedded into that block time. So RTI is not going away, that's just going to be built into that block. So we'll have push-in services during that time or pull out if necessary during that time as well. So if a student needs further support academically, behaviorally, anything that they need, they're going to make sure we still get those supports. And actually it provides a lot more flexibility to do so now. So we've put together a sample schedule here. So it is just a sample schedule, but you can see here how your child's day could possibly be laid out for the day. So 25 minutes when they come in for exploratory play, have morning meeting and SEL, which is social emotional learning. Our Ela Core with science and social studies integrated for 90 minutes, PE, and our math core. So that is something that will be consistent across the district in the morning. It's something that we all agreed upon, that we wanted students to have PE in the morning to really have developmentally appropriate practice built into our programming, so kids are not sitting for long chunks of time, they're getting movement, and our kindergarten teachers are all about developmentally appropriate practice, so no worries about them sitting for long periods of time. And then moving into the PM part of our day, we have recess, lunch. Students will have 2 recesses. One will be backed up to their lunch, just like the other grade levels, and then one will be a additional teacher monitored recess as well. And then we have extended Ela Core. So the extended Ela Core, what we mean by that is that's where we really want that hands-on experiential learning happening during that time, where they get to dive even deeper into the core curriculum and core learning that they did earlier that morning. So our next steps, we're doing that right now. We're communicating and we're working on hiring the additional staff that's going to be needed to staff these additional classrooms. We're working on purchasing everything we need to get these classrooms up and running come August. Working on professional development. We have already had some of our kindergarten teachers as of today observing in EC classrooms, learning about exploratory play and best practices and how to make sure we're providing developmentally appropriate play throughout our kindergarten classrooms. We're going to have summer learning opportunities for our teachers as well. We're developing a staff handbook and as Dr. Schimpf said, a community-facing FAQ for kindergarten as well. And then we do want to highlight Jumpstart is August 10th. That's an optional event for all families, not just kindergarten families, so it's open to all families at the elementary buildings. And it's an opportunity for kindergartners to get to know their building on a smaller, in a smaller setting, and kind of get to have fun for a couple hours. And if your child does come, there's an option to do kindergarten screening that helps us just get to know your students a little bit even before the school year starts academically and behaviorally. And we are going to do a staggered school entry for kindergarten. So August 25th, half of the students will attend that day, and then August 26th, the other half, and then that's a Thursday, Friday, and then on Monday, all kindergarten students will attend. So you can look for that information when class lists are posted, and so that you'll be notified at that time which students will go on the 25th and which group will go on the 26th. So that's all I have for the presentation. So I'd like to invite the panel to come up, and we can take any questions that you have additionally that I haven't answered or you'd like us to elaborate on more.
And while they're coming up, I want to talk about the locations. We are happy at this point in time, as we speak tonight, that we are planning to have all the kindergarten sections within their home schools. So if you currently are at Bristol grade, that's where the kindergarten would go. Same for Autumn Creek, Bristol Bay, all the elementary schools. I do want to make note, though, some of our buildings are getting tight. So when you think about Autumn Creek, when you think about Bristol Bay, if we have to have overflow, then we are going to be looking towards Bristol grade as one building that has a lot of room, and Yorkville grade that has a lot of room. So if you think about, let's take Autumn Creek, for example. If we have to open up a 6th grade section later in the summer because we have 15 6th graders move in, just by chance, and we need another classroom or two or something like that, then we're going to be getting back in touch with our Autumn Creek kindergarten parents and saying, you know, based upon the numbers, we have to move kindergarten students for 1 year to Bristol grade for that year. So again, we're going to be very transparent about that. Right now, we're working diligently to keep everyone in their home schools. But again, I can't promise that's going to be the case. We're confident, but things happen over the summer. But we would communicate that immediately if that happens. Transportation still would be provided to those schools, but it would just be the 1 year move. We also will, as we get into next year, it won't impact you unless you have other children coming up. You know, we're going to continue to monitor enrollment projections. We did a demographic study back in 2018 with an outside consultant. That individual is doing one again now. So that'll be done this summer. And we're going to be looking at what the next 5 years looks like. Because there might be a time in the future in Yorkville schools where we say it makes more sense to have Yorkville grade and Bristol grade as 2 kindergarten centers, or some combination of that. Again, that's not going to be obviously for this coming school year, but it's going to be conversations we need to continuously have as our community continues to grow. So we have Brent and Stephanie. If people have questions, can you please?
We have one right here.
There you go.
I have a question off that about the school overflow, if you will. So if we have multiple children, are you going to split them up and have them go to different schools, or will they take the higher precedence and stay in the same school?
So next year we would have, if you have a kindergartner, we would move the kindergartner for next year.
I have 2 kindergartners in the same.
We would keep them, they would go together.
They would stay in the same
Yes,
school?
I'm sorry, the kindergartners would stay together.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. We'll be right with you. Go ahead, Michelle, and then we'll.
Technical difficulties. I'm going to work my way over here, but we do have a couple questions from our parents about the staggered start, and will twins be kept together on the same day?
Yes, absolutely. We'll take all those things into consideration. We'll do what's best for kids. So if that's what the parents would like, we can absolutely accommodate that.
We did talk when we were going to break the staggered start. The initial discussion was around alphabet. But obviously, you can imagine they're you know, based upon just the families and the kids, their last name, you know, it might be a lopsided staggered. So we're just going to break into 2 separate groups, but certainly keeping families together would be advantageous. We understand that.
Will the dual language students be at their home school, or will they all be bused to the same school?
Yeah, dual language will also be held at their, wherever their program is located. So in this case, dual language is at ACES. So that will remain the same.
Right over there.
Perfect.
I have 2 that are Irish twins, they'll be going to school together, and I like that if there's one to happen that can, do we need to make, you know, a note of that with you guys, or how would that work?
Yeah, so you could just reach out to the building principal and let them know, but I think, you know, it's common sense if we see the same 2 last names that we'll be okay, but absolutely, just reach out to the building principal. That'll be an easy accommodation and something, a practice that we'll just do. Yeah.
With recess, just out of curiosity, how will that work with when it's going to take over? Will they just be inside, or will they have a certain rec area like a gym?
We can take that over here. So with recess, we take all of the students outside as long as it's 15 degrees or warmer. So the wind chill has to be at least 15 degrees. But the teachers will work with the students with putting coats on, boots on. You're surprised at how quickly they will learn to do that. But they will go out. We want to get them outside as much as possible. The same with PE. We want them outside as much as possible.
I can just add to that for the indoor piece. By the way, this is Dr. Spalazzo. She's the principal. You want to introduce?
Hi, I'm Katie Spalasso. I'm the principal at Bristol Bay Elementary School.
I'm Shannon Hamm. I'm the principal at Circle Center. And we do have indoor recess on those bad weather days also. Typically what the teachers do is they will have like a Go Noodle, which is like a fun movement activity in the classroom. Or the kids have Play-Doh or they're coloring. They have several options to choose from for those indoor days when it's too rainy or something like that. And just something that, just to add on, you didn't necessarily ask it, but I think when we do see 2 similar last names, we usually reach out as a school to the parents and say, do you want to keep your twins together, your siblings together, or do you want them separate? So that is something typically we will reach out just to see what your preference is as well.
So much, and this is my last question, I'm so sorry. Do we know the class size that we're going to be dealing with? What's the number?
40? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, we're very blessed in Yorkville. I don't know really across all grade level spans. If you look at surrounding districts, so I would venture to say 20, 21, 19, 17, somewhere between around that. We've been very fortunate to be able to maintain low class sizes across all grade level spans. Until you get to the secondary level, it gets a little dicey.
Okay, I have a couple of written questions and then a live one. How many kindergarten classes will there be? This parent is wanting to keep the twins in the same class.
That depends on the school and the sectioning. The larger schools, some of them have up to 4 sections. The smaller schools have 2 sections. So it depends on which school.
Thank you. And if they miss open house, is there going to be another open house or meet and greet before the school year starts?
That's not my question, but I will answer that one as well. Yes, we will have a meet and greet at the start of the year at each of the schools where the students will be able to drop off their school supplies, and you'll get to see the classroom, and then we will also have a curriculum night, which typically the kids are invited to come to that too. I think all of us have that scheduled in September, so it's pretty close to the beginning of the year. The back to school or school supply drop-off day is just a few days before school starts.
I just have a question about start times. Do all the elementary schools start at the same time? So if I've got 2 that currently are at ACES, and then if ACES can't take kindergarten, but I'm a walker, what would that look like for the kindergartner?
The start times are different. Our K-3 buildings start at 8:25, and our K-6 buildings start at 8:35. So that's the first part. What was the second part of the question?
I think you were saying if they were split for some reason. And I think if that did happen, we would know that that was something that we would have to look at and work around for the families. It wouldn't, the student would be marked tardy or anything like that. We would know, but hopefully we don't have to get to that point.
We do have a question over here about, is 20 minutes enough for lunch for our 5 and 6-year-olds? That's a good question.
For the supervisors, it is 100%. Principals or someone, Stephanie, the kindergarten teacher?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson. I'm one of the kindergarten teachers. So we anticipate the kids needing help, opening things, getting ready for lunch. So that's when we're going to have flood-in support. We have a lot of lunch monitors. The teachers will help, any staff that's available. And it's surprising how fast, like they were saying, how fast they learn to put on their coat and get ready to go outside. So we do anticipate them needing more help, but it's amazing to see how fast they learn to do things.
And at the beginning of the year too, don't you guys usually transition them? They go down earlier,
Yeah.
get to know the cafeteria, so they learn those procedures, and then before it's really down to that 20-minute time frame.
We had a question in back as well about if my homeschool is ACES and there's overflow, say, to BGS, would transportation be provided? And the answer to that is yes.
Hi, and thank you for taking all our questions. I have 3. What is the age-appropriate amount of time kinders will be required to be on their Chromebook? And specifically, what academic areas being taught, or will the Chromebook apps be used to teach that specific academic area?
So that's something that was a huge conversation with our FDK committee, because they're really mindful. So we really wanted, not that a student can't ever go on their Chromebook in the morning, but we really wanted to, that's part of our developmentally appropriate practice. And believe me, the kindergarten teachers are 100% behind this. They are opposed to having kids sitting on Chromebooks and sitting there on computers. That is the last thing we want. However, we do have different platforms, adaptive platforms that we use as a school district. So Dreambox, Lexia, that we would like them to go on. So that would be probably part of their extended core time in the afternoon. But again, shorten, building up to it, 10, 15 minutes. And that's about it for each program. So, yep, that's not something that we believe in is a good practice to have kids sitting on computers, especially at this age.
Great, thank you. And then a few grade schools were mentioned. Is Circle Center expected to kind of have some overflow as well, being a K through 3rd building?
We don't have room. we already are slotted for 4, possibly 5 kindergarten sections at Circle.
So we would be one of the schools that would probably be transferring kiddos?
No, we'd be okay, Mrs. Froome.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We're okay with our sections. Yeah.
No students will be going to Circle Center as overflow,
Yes.
Oh,
but
I
they're
see.
okay there. No
I
students
think
will
I
need
said
to
that
leave
backwards.
Circle Center.
Okay.
I have a question. I'll ask it to the group, because I had this question when the committees were coming together, and I would sit and look at schedules, and I kept asking what exploratory play is, and what does that entail, and is it the teacher sitting at the desk and kids are just running rampant? Are we going to be playing all the time? And obviously early literacy and early academics is important for foundational skills moving forward, and one of the advantageous reasons for moving to a full-day program is, when you look at the math, you look at the ELA, we want kids to be more prepared as they move through our systems, obviously. So I would like someone to address kind of what is exploratory play and what can parents expect out of the time that they're engaged in that?
Absolutely, I can take that one. I'm Corey Maynor. I'm the early childhood coordinator, so of course this is my favorite question ever. So exploratory play is fantastic. So this is a time where students have a lot of choice in what they get to do through the classroom, but at the same time, we're embedding all of those really amazing skills into what they're doing. So they may get to choose from different play centers, such as blocks, dramatic play, fine motor, but we are incorporating all of those skills right into it, right? So in blocks, we're working on shapes and geometry and math and counting. In dramatic play, we're working on building language and social interactions. So while that time is play, we're going to sneak all of those academic skills right in. So it really gives us that most developmentally appropriate practice that we're looking for.
Okay, sorry. A very important question. Will the kids have snack?
Yes, they will have snack.
It's currently the parents are providing snack. You don't see it on the schedule, but it's embedded into the activity.
Now, we are not at this point providing a formal nap. And that was a question some parents had. And I don't know if anyone wants to address that topic either. But that was a discussion we've had and had some parent feedback on it, so wanted to make sure it was addressed.
So we talked about as kindergarten teachers that maybe after lunch, come in, do a read aloud, have some quiet time just to calm down and get ready for the afternoon. But we talked about, you know, the nap, and no.
Question? The half day, there is a half day option. If you're looking for a half day, right now if you register, you're automatically in full day. We'd ask that you call the principal, talk through that with them. We also aren't going to, there's not going to be a time in which we say you have until this time to make a decision as far as if you want to switch back one way or the other. If you were in our schools last year, you know that at every quarter we allowed parents during COVID to switch. I am from the belief of a parent-centered, student-centered school district. We find reasons to say yes here. So if it's first quarter and you say, I want to go full day, we're going to say, please come full day. If it's first quarter and you say, you know what, full day is not working for my child, I want to move them to half day, we're going to move you to half day. And then we'll prorate your fees accordingly, one way or the other.
So we start slow to go fast later. So we don't dive right into, you know, the hard learning right away. We do routines, we do activities, read alouds, play. So we start slow, like I said, teach the routines, and then that enables us to go fast later.
But they will come home tired the first couple
Yeah.
weeks. They will. So, like, you know, give it a chance. But, you know, as Dr. Schimpf said, work with your building principal. If you have flexibility in your day that you could, you know, work out a plan with that principal to maybe pick up early if you're finding, you know, we're really responsive to the needs of our students. Our teachers are phenomenal. So if they see that their classroom needs some kind of rest and restore time, they're going to give that time, especially at the beginning of the year.
And one of the changes we made for this summer, thanks to our elementary principals, they are now 12 months. They used to be 10-month employees or 11-month employees, so they will be in the buildings with administrative assistants all summer long. So it's, again, a way to service our community and our parents, especially knowing we have full-day kindergarten, a lot of questions coming, a lot of families moving in. So please access that over the summer, too, as you have questions or individual concerns.
Hi, I have two questions, actually. So back to the overflow. If our kids are currently going to a daycare and they will be bused to school and back, morning and night, and then they end up moving the school, that's going to be an issue, clearly.
What part's an issue? That from the daycare, that they may not be able to bus to that school, or what?
Correct.
Okay.
So if my kids go to my twins are going to go to Grand Reserve, and you move them to Bristol, clearly the daycare that they're in today will not probably bus to Bristol.
My name's Craig Wesley. I'm the Director of Business Services, and I work closely with Subtran. And if your child is overflowed into that situation, then we'll work something out, because that would be a unique circumstance. So if you are overflowed, we'll figure it out one way or another.
Okay. I got another question. So you had mentioned around 20 kids per class, right? Is it just a teacher, or is there also another, I don't know what you call them, aides or?
Like a paraprofessional or instructional aide, or typically not. Just depends. I guess if some class sizes go up a little bit higher in numbers, if we have unique student needs in those classes for whatever reason, then you might see that in some sections across the district.
But most times it's just the teacher.
Correct.
Okay.
But always volunteers.
Yes. I do have to say that the kindergarten teachers, I think, are probably the best with having volunteers. They want volunteers. So, I mean, I would say that's pretty much across the board. The more hands, the better. And so you would be hearing from them at the start of the year for that.
We have a question about if parents are responsible for sending snack and lunch from home to school.
So the snacks, the parents would provide. Lunch goes either way. You can have your child buy a lunch from school, or the vast majority of the kindergartners that I work with or have worked with, they bring their sack lunch. As the kids get older to 5th and 6th grade, they're more likely to buy a lunch, but the majority, the slight majority of students bring their sack lunch. So either option's available, either to buy it or to have a sack lunch.
Can I ask a follow-up on lunch? And maybe the group doesn't know the answer to this, and I'm opening up something we're not sure yet on, but where will they eat their lunch? Will they eat in the cafeteria? Will they eat in the classroom? I know that's been a question I've had from parents. Ms. Bryan.
We're planning on our kindergartners having lunch in the cafeteria. That will fit in our schedule at Bristol Bay Elementary School.
Same. At Circle Center, it's also based off the scheduling so far, we are also in the cafeteria. But it would not be all 5 classes at once. There'll kind of be 3 in the cafeteria, 2 outside of recess, and then flip-flop.
So as of right now, it's still kind of a building-based decision on where lunch will be, whether it's in the classroom or in the cafeteria. So it's going to be so far on a building-by-building basis.
And that's just due to the nature of the capacity and lunchroom capacity and building schedule. So it just, one of the schools that said they're in the cafeteria today, by August they could say we're going to have to first semester eat in the lunchroom or in the classroom.
But even if they eat in the classroom, they can still have access to purchasing the hot lunch.
Correct. So hot lunches will be based, they will not be what the federal government's calling the summer seamless, where they have been free meals for everybody. There is a free and reduced meal based on income, and we get that application process, but about 80% of our community would qualify for lunches that they would purchase. Yes.
So my question is, if like my daughter's supposed to go to Bristol Bay, and if it's too full and they move students, how are you making the decision on who gets moved? Like if somebody has a sibling at that school, are they staying there, or what are you using to determine which students won't be able to attend that school?
We will be moving the kindergartners.
All of them?
Well, I'm assuming that if we have to open up classrooms, we're going to have to look at whether it's, we'd probably ask for volunteers first. If we didn't have to move all kindergartners, we'd ask for if any parents want to move. And then if not, we'd have to do some sort of decision making.
Okay.
Are you guys going to have homework for kindergarten now that it's full day? Because I know I had a son in half day, and they had a lot of work to do at home, and so I'm just wondering if that's taken care of now or there's still work to do at home.
I think as a kindergarten team, we'll talk about that as far as what to do at home. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we're going to do a lot of planning over the summer and before school starts, and we'll be consistent with that across the district. Some of my kids are asking for homework. Some of them look at me and say, I don't want any homework, and the others, they're like, I want some homework.
Yep, coming.
Every student will have a Chromebook. Kindergarten will not be taking them home. So we actually or Monday night, we'll be approving an order of new Chromebooks. So we'll have brand new ones. There'll be the convertibles, the flip, so the touch screen as well. And then when they become first graders, they'll receive new Chromebooks. So the kindergarten ones will stay in the kindergarten classrooms.
I want to make a shameless plug for all of you that are here. We keep talking about Overflow, and I know that probably makes us feel very anxious, but one of the things that can really help us with that is getting our kindergartners registered at each school. So we have an accurate number prior to, as early as we can instead of waiting until August. So in your neighborhood or your community or your play dates, talk that up for us.
I'm sorry if this was addressed already, but how are kindergartners assessed throughout the year, specifically at the beginning, to determine whether there are some cognitive or academic needs there so they can get into RTI? I know MAPS and Ames web testing is done with our kiddos in older grades, but with, again, Chromebooks and technology being so new for these guys, how are they assessed so they can be supported as well?
So kindergartners take the MAP test 3 times a year, and it's taken on the Chromebook, and it's read to them. So they have their headphones on, and it reads them the question, and they have to touch or slide an answer. Ames Web, they are tested 3 times a year too, on letter naming fluency, letter sound fluency, and then phoneme segmentation. And that is what they can produce. So they would sit with a teacher one-on-one, and for the letter naming, they have 1 minute to say as many letter names as they can, and they have 1 minute to say as many letter sounds as they can. And then the phoneme segmentation comes later on, but right in the beginning of the year for Ames Web, they're tested on letter name and letter sound. So 2 different tests shows us 2 different data points, and we look at those along with other pieces to determine who gets reading services and other services. And that is communicated with you every time.
Great, thank you. And kind of piggybacking off of that, in the previous slide it was mentioned that additional hires might be made depending on need. So if there's a need for speech therapists, occupational therapists, more special education teachers, is that a priority that the district has for our new kinders?
Absolutely. And we're in a position to be able to do it as well, financially.
My big question was, I just recently moved here in the community, and I fill out an application for my son to go to school, but they haven't replied to me where he would go to school, so I'm like clueless where he would go. Is there a specific email that I have to refer to get information?
Yes. Talk to me after, when we're done. Other questions? While we're waiting, can someone talk about the specials. So I see up there, what is ILT, what's that going to consist of for kindergarten, and when will students have access to the library to check out books, because we love to read in Yorkville.
We do love to read.
We do love to read.
We do.
So let's talk about that.
Thanks, Dr. Shimp. My name is Mchugh. I'm the music teacher at Grand Reserve, and I'm here kind of representing all the specials, which would include music, art, and ILT, which stands for Information Literacy and Technology, which would be a lot of research skills, computer skills, but when we're talking about kindergarten, we're looking at a lot of book, library, learning how to use the Chromebook for the first time skills. So we do, as you were talking about, extra teachers or help along the way. Your ILT teacher is working closely with your librarian as well to help figure out new Chromebook skills and how to turn on the Chromebook, how to use a mouse and things like that. We will definitely have a lot of library activity for your students. We love books here in the district. My wife is the book ambassador, so she's pretty cool. I like her a lot. So she works really hard on getting authors here, getting just literature events constantly in your kids' hands. So.
This is a great opportunity before I pass the microphone to mention too that if you've been to our campuses, before you exit the property, you'll see a sign that says, "We thank you for reading with your child nightly." So the person who asked about homework, just to read with your child really helps build a robust vocabulary.
Piggybacking off like the hiring of teachers and specialists, would there be additional hiring for to support dual language students as well, like speech, I guess psychologists, anything for Spanish-speaking students?
Yeah, so our dual language program is it's going full day as well. So any needs that we have within our dual language program, we will be absolutely just as responsive to their needs as our monolingual students. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all the data, and whatever needs that come in, we'll make sure we're getting our students what they need. You're welcome.
Okay, we've got two questions back here. One is, do our kindergarten students need to be potty trained prior to the first day of school? Completely potty trained?
Hi, again. Yes, but as kindergarten teachers, most of us are mommies ourselves. We will do whatever we need to support your child. The nurses are always really responsive to children that need extra help. But yes, but the mommy in us comes out, and we'll either send them to the nurse or kind of talk to them through the bathroom what to do. So hope that answers your question.
And if there are concerns about that, because sometimes there are medical issues, just reach out to your building principal or the building nurse, and we can help you with that to prepare for the fall.
With K-6 on one bus, so kindergarten through sixth grade students riding the same bus, are the kindergarten students and the sixth grade students kind of separated by age or grade level?
Okay, taking that?
And that currently happens basically every day. So if your child is a kindergartner that rides home in the afternoon, so an afternoon after kindergartner, they're already riding on the bus. Typically, the kindergarten students will sit closer to the bus driver at the front of the bus, but sometimes it makes sense, right? So like for my daughters, when my younger daughter was in kindergarten, her older sister was in second grade, super responsible, and we asked they sit together. So if we can make that work, we can, but it's really based on a circumstance. And then I had kids, I was a principal at an elementary school for quite some time. There were times when the siblings didn't want to be near each other, either because the parents wanted it that way or the kids wanted it that way. So we need to understand what the students need as well. So that's how we'll deal with it as we're doing now, and we'll do that next year.
We find that when sixth graders are together, they can be kind of squirrely and silly. But when they're in the company of littles, they seem to mature by many years, and they treat them really, really well. So but we do, our principals are really good about that too. If you ever have concerns, certainly reach out to the building.
Okay, will parents have access to Seesaw for kindergarten with assignments they've completed and to email back and forth with their teachers?
Yep, we'll be continuing Seesaw again. Seesaw will be our platform of choice for kindergarten.
And how is the weekly curriculum going to be communicated with families?
Typically, teachers do a weekly newsletter, whether it's at the beginning of the week or the end of the week. But again, as we come together this summer and before school, as kindergarten teachers, we will talk about how to do that and be consistent across the district with that.
I was just going to add, for those of you that don't know what Seesaw is, if you're a new parent for school-age kids, it's a platform where teachers can share and kind of push work out to students. They can reply right on to the computer or their tablet with a picture of their work. It's also very cool because they can send videos or read a story and it's recorded, and their parents can see all of their work. So you can see that feedback from the teacher when they're giving feedback on there. As a parent, and it's a very, it's almost like texting in a way with the teacher. You get that communication is much quicker. It was something that we started during COVID.
Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
So somebody brought up the dual language program. Is that offered to all the children?
It is offered to all students through, if you want information on that, please reach out to the district office. Mike Camp is our bilingual coordinator and our dual language coordinator, so we will get information on that.
Mike Camp?
Mike Camp, correct.
I have a question regarding the same dual language. So dual language basically is Spanish and English.
Correct.
So I'm looking for another language. So is there any possibility we can go with that?
We would have to talk to you individually about the services for another language outside of Spanish. So we'll have that conversation separately. Yep.
Hi, just a heads up. I'm sure you're probably aware in Bristol Bay, they are starting construction, and I'm a little nervous. We're in Bristol Bay if they're going to have overflow issues already. They are now, after a decade, building all new single-family homes, townhomes, and it's going to be pretty full. So just want to give a heads up because that's going to kick in this year. It's expected to start this summer.
Thank you.
Maybe this is an obvious question, but right now the kindergartners either get picked up or dropped off at their house for busing. So would they just be picked up and dropped off at like the main bus stop now with the other elementary or whatever?
Yes, so our full-day kindergarten students would be picked up or dropped off at a bucket stop, typically the same way it would happen if they're in first grade. Obviously, if it's a rural setting or something like that, but no, they would be very similar to what happens in first grade.
Well, we're getting over to our next question. I did have PE teachers request that all parents have homework of teaching your kid to tie their shoes. Okay, good luck, good luck. It's a rough homework challenge, but.
This isn't a question, but I've been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. I can finally go back to work, so thank you. I'm excited.
Thank you.
So our kindergartner, she might go to daycare afterwards. Our daycare, her children go to Bristol Bay too, but we live in Bristol Bay and she lives in Montgomery. If we were to write a letter for her to take the bus with the other children, would you guys allow that?
Not sure I understand the question.
Like giving clearance to go to somebody else's house and stay, because we both work full time.
Yes, we have made exceptions in the past. You would just need to contact the homeschool with that, and then we'll pass that information along unless there's different information you want, Craig.
if there is a different location, we do have something in place where it has to be consistent. So we don't switch every week. Where it has to be a certain amount of days, or the same days for all, throughout the week, and same location. But if you have a unique situation like that, contact your building principal first, and then we'll work through the district office, and Craig will address it with Subtran.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm going to go back to dual language. So if my daughter gets selected for dual language, and in her bus stop, there's not another dual language students that are going on that same bus, will she be picked up at home, or will she have to go to like a different bus stop? I just wanted to understand, like, if she's a dual language student, she's not going to her home school, she's going to the Adams Creek, I think, then will she get picked up at home or still have to go to the bus stop?
So our dual language does operate differently than the bus stops in a typical neighborhood or typical subdivision. So it would depend on the circumstances. She might be going to a different bus stop closer to her house, but it might not be like a door to door. So it might be at the corner closest to your house or something like that. But you're right, they wouldn't be if your children go to Bristol Bay, or your neighborhood kids go to Bristol Bay, but your child is going to Autumn Creek, then it would be a separate bus stop possibly, or the same bus stop but at a different time. So it just would depend on what that schedule looks like and who is taking dual language in your neighborhood. Same thing, same circumstance.
Hi, I just have one specific question about curriculum. Phonics is so foundational in kindergarten. With your ELA block, how much time would you say is dedicated to your phonics program, and what does that look like in kindergarten?
Okay. Well, this year we're actually piloting in some of our schools a new phonics program. So we're piloting 3 different programs to see which one is best for us to move forward. But we, of course, do phonics in kindergarten, but we're looking to expand that in years to come. But in every classroom, it varies a little bit. But I mean, in kindergarten, I mean, that's a huge portion, especially at the beginning of the year, is phonics. So we have different, we have Haggerty. What else do we use, John?
Currently, we use Jolly Phonics in kindergarten and Haggerty. And as you saw from the previous slide, our minutes that are allotted right now for ELA and what we're getting it's a huge difference. So that's another thing that as a kindergarten team, we're going to look at and plan over the summer and before school. Now that we get all this extra time, how is our ELA block going to look? We are very, very excited that we get more time.
Been a big conversation for us, the excitement around having guided reading time, but being able to build in phonics additionally into our guided reading time, not just having phonics separately. So it's definitely on our minds and something we're working to integrate even further.
I just wanted to add to, when we were talking about RTI and interventions for kids, we know that we have kids coming that have never been to preschool and don't know any letters. And we have kids that are coming in that are already reading. So that intervention time is really for both. So we give the kids what they need. It's called win time. And that is a time for the teachers to differentiate the instruction and accelerate students. And, there are even times where if the child is super, super high, maybe they join a first grade class. And actually full day is going to make that so much easier because of scheduling and being able to do that if we had to for that student. So I just want to say, although we definitely try to close those gaps and get all of our kindergarten students where they should be by the end of the year, we also accelerate our kindergarten students too, and that's across the board at all of our buildings.
So I have a question about specials, just because I don't think it was mentioned a lot, and I'm so excited for it. Art, music, all of it.
Yes.
Yes. So I noticed just looking at the schedule, it says 45 minutes. Are they going to have 2 classes a day? And then are they going to have like a concert or like sort of all that fun stuff that comes along with it?
I can't wait to answer all this. Okay. They will have a 45-minute block, and in that 45-minute block daily, they will have 2 specials, or they will have 1 special and then a flex time in their classroom. So for instance, if they had art and music, they would come to music for the first 20 minutes, and then art the back 20 minutes, and we would spend that 5 minutes in the middle to switch. So they're getting music every other day. They'll get art every other day. So it's not a true 45-minute block for the student of one subject. It's a fine arts block of 45 minutes. Yes. Well, making a lot of sound is something that we love to do. But definitely we'll be concentrating on the basics of music, fast and slow, loud and quiet, heavy and light, lots of instruments, not very many instruments. So yes, we will be playing a lot of music, we'll be singing a ton of music, a lot of dancing going on, and just the experience of the fine art itself. And I can speak for all of our fine arts teachers. We have just a fabulous, wonderful fine arts program that I'm so proud to be a part of. They will have a concert every year, a music concert. There will be an art show every year, and depending on the school is how that's going to look specifically. But yes, we will have a lot of opportunities to showcase your kindergartners, and we're so excited about it.
We are going to try and stay true to time here, so we have a couple more minutes. One, if you have a card and you wrote a question on it and we didn't collect it, we would ask that you put it on the table when you leave tonight so we can add that to the FAQ and make sure it's a comprehensive. Because if you're asking it, the 300 other parents are asking the same question. The other thing is, we're going to be reviewing our schedule. Stephanie talked about the committee. That committee, as we get into the school year, they're going to be continuously meeting throughout the year. The grade level is going to come together. The teachers are going to be planning together. We're going to make adjustments. We're going to make adjustments likely to the day. We're going to look at the ELA block. We're going to look at the exploratory play. So what we start with is obviously not going to just stay that way if it's not working to the degree we need it to work or is not as effective for our kids. The second piece of it, which is exciting moving forward, we have a K-8 scheduling committee that's been meeting all year long. So it's a group of educators, 35, 40 strong, that have been coming together to look at our kindergarten through 8th grade schedules. We know at some point we need to modernize our school day. We need to look at, when you think about coding, when you think about robotics, when you think about tinkering labs and kids building things, and you think about outdoor play, those are things that our kids at the elementary level need to be exposed to. They need to be integrated into their day. When you think about the exploratory, that's going to be a great beginning to that. But we're going to be coming back to our board in November to talk about what does the future of our schedule look like moving forward at all the grade levels K-8, which is very exciting. Think about foreign language at the elementary level. We have to do things differently and modernize our curriculum and modernize our experiences for our kids. Anything else from the panel? We ask for your patience as we go through the summer into the year. Please do not wait to ask a question. Please do not wait to reach out. As I said, we are a parent and student-centered district. There's nobody on this panel, there's nobody speaking tonight that's not approachable. If you have a question and you need to talk to somebody, call, email, stop in. If you want to talk to me, you have concerns, come see me, email, call. If I'm in the office, I'm going to visit with you. You don't need an appointment, show up. But do not wait. We are only going to get better if our parents are sharing with us what their children need. This group knows my philosophy is we find a reason to say yes. We find a reason to say yes for kids. We find a reason to say yes for parents. So just because it's never been done, just because people are concerned about what it might set precedent, I don't care. I don't believe in precedent. I don't. I've never been burned by it. If we can make it happen, if we can help you and your children have a successful experience in our school district, we want to know about it. We might have to tell you no, but we're going to listen to you. We're going to try to find a reason to say yes. So I can't thank you enough for giving up an hour of your time. Please, if you have questions that you haven't been answered, stick around. The group will stick around for a little bit. But certainly we look forward to seeing you littles in August. So thank you.
Very nice. A little more in the grace here.